Hey guys, King of Trimass here, and today I bring to you my basic bow guide for beginners. Builds, tips, and tricks. And here's why you'd want to choose the bow or be a bow main. The pros are the mechanics are easy to learn. Mechanics are pretty easy for the main Monster Hunter series games, same thing for Monster Hunter now. It allows you to engage from a distance and save healing items. Unfortunately, we cannot craft potions yet, hopefully that becomes a thing one day, but by engaging your monster from a distance, you will be able to save healing items as a bow user. It has nearly all weapon elements except paralysis, and it has great mobility. So bows have great mobility. You'll be able to dance and charge sidestep like butter around your monsters that you encounter. And there has been an exclusive bow for every event so far. So for the 2 events we've had so far, as of the Pink Rathian event, Diablos Invasion event, and the Rathian Week, there have been 2 exclusive variant bows. However, there are some cons. It requires you to get used to aiming for maximum effect. So you have to aim. It's not just like, oh, okay, you just tap, tap, tap. No, you have to aim and shoot. So yes, you have to aim for maximum effect. So you have to get used to it. And it lacks the large single hit damage output. So you're not going to see exactly big numbers. You're not going to be able to do 6, 9, 420 points of damage in one shot. Unfortunately, with the bow, it's not going to happen. And it might cause you to get lazy because you're safer than melee weapon users. Melee weapon users have to be very aware since they have to be up close and personal. As a bow user, you might get lazy and stop trying to learn attack patterns, etc. and just get used to being at a distance so you don't have to dodge as much or learn attack patterns as much as melee users would. And here's a list of the bow weapons. We have non-elemental weapons, which are the iron bow, which have no monster correlation. They're your basic weapon at the beginning. You have the Kulu arrow, which is from Kulu Yaku, and you have the Diablos bow, which comes from Diablos, of course. In addition, we have the event-exclusive non-elemental damage weapon, which is the Gilebender, which comes from Black Diablos. And here we have elemental weapons. For poison, we have Blooming Arc from Puke Puke. For the Princess Arrow, we have Rathian. And for fire, we have the Blazing Bow, which is from Anjanath, and the Rat Slinger from Rathalos. Moving on, we have water. This is the Aqua Arrow, which is from Gyrototus. And for elemental weapons continued, we have the Ice Element, which is the Glacial Arrow from Legiana. And for thunder, we have the Pulsar Bow from Tobi Kadachi. And for most recently, the most recent event, we have a Dragon Bow, the Rosen Arrow from Pink Rathian. Next up, we have charge shot levels. So charge shots have 4 charge levels. Charge levels are what they're called in the Monster Hunter series. I'm just going to call them charge levels. At level 1, we have 1 tap. So 1 tap will equal level 1. For level 2, you tap and hold for 1 flash. So tapping holding for 1 flash is level 2. Level 3, tap and hold for 2 flashes. And for level 4, you tap and hold for 3 flashes. Here's a big tip. You can fire a second shot after the charge shot and it will do half the damage. So whatever charge shot you do, if you tap again, you will fire a second volley and that will do half the damage from your original charge. Next, we have charge shot types. So charge shot has 3 types. You have rapid, where all arrows will hit 1 target, so it'll all focus and condense and hit 1 target. You have spread, where arrows will spread across target, similar to like a shotgun effect. And you have pierce, arrows will go through the target like a hot knife through butter. And that brings us to your charge shot damage levels. So you have charge shot levels, and then you have damage levels. Damage levels are displayed next to the type to the right of the charge shot. So you see here we have rapid, and then we have the levels to the right. It goes up to level 4. So you have level 1, level 2, level 3, and level 4. Now this is pretty obvious, but the higher the damage level, the more damage your attack will do. And here are some charge shot notes. Most bow weapons require to go charge level 4 for damage level 4. Which means you need to do the maximum amount of charge, which is charge level 4, in order to do the maximum amount of damage, which is damage level 4. As you see in the iron bow, for an example, I have it boxed out right here. In order for you to do rapid level 4 damage, you must have a charge shot of level 4. With the exception of variant monster weapons. Variant monster weapons have special charge levels and damage levels that do more damage levels for less charge levels. Again, you will do more damage for less charges. And there are 2 weapons in the game so far that have this. The Gilebender, which is the Black Diablos bow, and it can do damage level 4 at charge level 3, which is 2 flashes. So it can go to the maximum damage only at charge level 3. And you have the Rosen Arrow, which is the Pink Rathian blow, and this can do damage level 3 at charge level 2, which is 1 flash. So the Rose and Arrow is one of the fastest charging weapons in the game. Yes, it doesn't go to level 4, but to go to level 3 with 1 charge, only 1 flash, is pretty dang good. Now that we went over charge levels and damage levels, now I'm going to go over the type effective range for bows. So yes, there's an effective range for bow shots, just like the main series games. Spread forces you to be up close and personal, so you must be up close and personal, you must be all up in that monster's grill if you're going to make a spread effective. Pierce and Rapid can also be fired from a distance, however if a monster is close from you, they will do reduced damage. Speaking of reduced damage, if you do not fire at the optimum range for a bow, you will do reduced damage. Spread, you have to be close. Pierce and Rapid, you have to be far away, which is like 1 or 2 rolls away. You cannot be up close, otherwise you will do reduced damage. And how can you tell when you are firing at a monster's weak spot? Well, when you're going to fire at a monster's weak spot, your target will turn orange. So you see examples right here. My target is turning orange because I'm aiming for a monster's weak spot. And the game will flash a red out of range message when you're too far away from a monster. So if you are out of range, you're going to do no damage. And the game will make sure it lets you know by flashing this big red message that says out of range. Now, one thing that I haven't seen any other bow videos talk about is coating types. For now, we only have poison coating for the poison bow weapons. However, for those of you that do play the series Monster Hunter games, we have multiple coating types. So hopefully in the future, we might have more coating types like power coating in Monster Hunter Rise, which increases attack power. So that's going to be really exciting once we be able to use different types of coating for our bow weapons. It's going to be really awesome. And it looks like that's going to be a feature in the game because we have coating types. And for the bow's special skill, we have the Dragon Piercer, the special attack, and of course, with the name, its charge shot type is piercing. So it's gonna pierce through your monster like a hot knife through butter when you aim at it. It uses all of the body's might to release an arrow that can pierce through anything. It has 3 levels. At level 1, you do 100% of damage, level 2, 105%, and level 3, 110%. Note, you are invincible while using your special skill, so even though you do that wind up and charge, you're still invincible, but you can still take damage from stat effects like poison. So things like poison will still damage you even though you're in your state of using your special skill. And now, I feature one of the coolest things about the bow, it's the charging sidestep. This is what's called in the main series game, so I'm called the charging sidestep. Bow users can evade while charging a shot. In order to do the charge sidestep, you must have at least got the charge level 2, which is tap and hold for 1 flash. If you try to do it before you get the charge level 2, which is 1 flash, it's not going to work. You can do the charging sidestep by swiping up, down, left, or right while charging or at charge level 4. You cannot continue charging a shot after a charging sidestep. So if you do a charging sidestep, you can't continue doing a charge. You have to fire your shot. So after you do it, you're going to fire your shot shortly after, so you won't be able to continue charging. However, here's a big tip. You can still continue to charge a shot while you're performing a charge sidestep. So while you're performing it, it will continue to charge. If you reach the next charge level, it will fire the next level. So try practicing your timing so you can charge the next level and fire at maximum damage at damage level 4. Here's an example. For my Black Diablos bow, you see that I'm getting to charge level 3 and then I'm able to fire at damage level 4 because I'm able to perfectly time that charge while doing a charging sidestep. Moving on, we have one of my favorite things to do, and that's a perfect evade, and I have several tips for when you're performing a perfect evade. Performing a perfect evade will add +2 charge levels to your current shot. So for example, you do a perfect evade at charge level 2, you will be at charge level 4. And here are my tips. Tip number 1, after a perfect evade, you continue to charge your shot. So you can continue to charge a shot after doing a perfect evade, unlike a charge sidestep where you can't continue to charge a shot after you perform it. So after you do a perfect evade, you can continue to charge your shot. Tip number 2, you can also do another charging sidestep after a perfect evade. So you see in this example, I do a perfect evade and then I'm able to do a charging sidestep right after and then fire a shot. So yes, you could do it. You could go from level 1 to level 3, charge sidestep to level 4, and then fire. So there's a lot of fancy things you can do if you master perfect evades. And tip number 3, you can perform a perfect evade by doing a charge sidestep. So you don't have to, it's not just your regular dodge, which will proc a perfect evade. A charging sidestep will also proc perfect evade, which is awesome because you have multiple abilities and chances to do a charge sidestep. And here's another thing I don't see a lot of bow guides covering for some odd reason. Semi and full aim. At the top right of the screen, you have two aim modes, semi and full. To switch between either one of them, you just tap on the top right icon. So type on that tab and bam, you will switch between semi and full. And here's what they do. Semi will lock the target in the center, but you can't look around. It's useful taking out small monsters, so this is useful for taking out the small monsters because they will be locked in the center all the time. However, if you're going to truly master the bow, you must be in full mode. This is the mode you will be in for every large monster battle. This mode allows you to tilt your phone to manually aim at the target. This is necessary again if you want to be a master of the bow. At full mode, you get to tilt around your phone just like you see me doing in this battle right here, and I'll be able to tilt my phone so that I'm able to aim at a monster. Full is the one you're going to master again so that you can become a bowmaster. You must master full to be a bowmaster. And another thing, why does no one talk about this? The reset aim button. I've seen no one else talk about this. The reset aim button is so underrated. This useful button above your healing items allows you to refocus your aim towards a monster. This button is underrated because it saves you from having to turn your body to recenter a monster if they fly off the screen or if you have to turn on the sidewalk. So, say the Great Jaguars does the belly roll and it goes off your screen, you don't have to turn your body or turn your phone into that monster. You could just hit the reset aim button. It's so useful. Here's an example too. You're walking at a park and you have to turn around. So if you're walking at a park and you have to turn at a curb, you can turn around and easily hit the reset aim button to easily recenter your crosshairs. And here's a tip. You can hit the reset aim button in between a charging sidestep. So in between a charging sidestep, you can go ahead and hit the reset aim button so that you can recenter your aim. Again, this is super underrated. Don't know why no one's talking about it. I like walking and playing a lot, and I don't like stopping. So if I'm on a roll and I'm trekking along trying to get my miles in, I'm not going to stop unless the monster is really annoying. This allows me, when I'm going on a curb or walking and having to turn on a curb, I can just hit reset aim and poof, I don't have to turn my body. I can just keep walking forward and keep my phone straight and continue to aim at the monster. In addition, we have an equipment skill for bow users, which is called Focus. Focus shortens charging time for weapons with charge attacks by 5 to 30%. Don't worry about the spirit gauge part, that's for the longsword. So spirit gauge is the longsword, focus is for charging weapons, which are the bow. One of them is the bow. And it has 5 levels, so like I mentioned right here, it's 5 to 30%. At level 1, it's 5%, at level 2, it's 10%, level 3, it's 15%, level 4, it's 20%, and at level 5, it's 30%. This is a basic guide, so I'm going to put in the advanced guide why you want to stack and have as much focus as possible. And here's basic builds for bow beginners. So I have a beginner's build right here, and then you have alternate builds depending on how you slot in for the alternates if you don't have the main ones. So for the main beginner's build, we have Puke Helm, grade 2 for focus, Puke Mail, grade 4 for focus, Kulu Vambraces, grade 4 for critical eye, Kulu Coil, grade 4 for evade extender, Kulu Greaves, grade 2 for critical eye. And for alternative builds, the alternative slot-ins, you have Leather Mail, grade 2 for attack boost, Jagras Mail, grade 2 for rising tide, Leather Gloves, grade 2 for defense boost. And this leads on to the basic builds for beginners. Obviously, if you've been playing longer, you have access to more pieces of gear. I'm going to do that in the advanced guide. This is for beginners. For 2 basic builds for bow beginners, you have a focus build from the Puke gear, and this shortens time for charge shots. You have critical build from the Kulu gear, which has a higher chance of landing critical hits. So these are the 2 basic builds for beginners. Hopefully this basic guide for beginners helps you get the fundamentals down to master the bow. I wanted to be really thorough. I saw a lot of other guides missing a lot of things like semi and full and reset aim. Those are really important because they allow you to develop and become a master by knowing these basic fundamentals and covering something very thoroughly. So you want to be thorough on these things. You want to make sure it's complete, even if it's a basic guide. With that being said, I will be making an advanced bow guide for experts in the future. I want that one to be thorough as well, so I'm going to be working on that a lot. And like I mentioned, this video took a lot of time, so please do me a huge favor. Like, subscribe, and comment for YouTube algorithm. Thank you so much. Hopefully this guide helps you out again, and I will see y'all on the next one.